How to beat the demonic kids in it as Pennywise. In the town of Derry, Pennywise is a teacher who forces kids to face their worst fears. You see, Pennywise is just trying to survive. He is a predator who needs to eat in order to live, so the kids are his prey. But they're not so innocent either. If you take a closer look, you'll see that the kids are the real villains of the story. Pennywise's first student is this boy, who is about to learn a lesson he will never forget. Disclaimer, warning, what you're about to see is brought to you by the devil himself. A kid named Georgie is playing with his paper boat, which gets stuck in the drain. But little does he know that the drain has a living being inside it. Staring back at him were a pair of eyes of our friendly neighborhood clown, Pennywise. He introduces himself to Georgie and they're having fun. But Georgie, being the real party pooper here, says that he should be on his way home. What a rude little kid. Before he leaves, Pennywise graciously reminds him to take back his paper boat. Georgie reaches down to retrieve it, but unfortunately, he forgets to say thank you. Pennywise decides to impart some manners on the lad by sinking his teeth into young Georgie's arm. Then he extends his arm, inviting Georgie into the depths of the sewer, leaving nothing behind except maybe a pool of blood. Here, Pennywise has taught Georgie a valuable lesson. Don't talk to strangers and never forget your manners. Fast forward a year and a few months, and the mystery of Georgie's disappearance is still unsolved. But Billy, Georgie's big brother, hasn't given up yet. While his friends brainstorm their exciting summer plans, Billy insists on recruiting them for a trip to the sewers. Returning back home, he gets a not-so-appreciated surprise. His dad has discovered a model of the town's sewage system, and he's far from pleased. Billy, however, drops the bombshell that the very drain Georgie disappeared into connects to the Barrens. His dad doesn't want to listen as he's convinced that Georgie is lost forever. But his older son is now on his way to uncover a secret that the town has kept hidden for centuries. Will he find out? Okay, let's go back to Georgie and his little boat. You know, being a clown, Pennywise could have gone about this in a much simpler way. He could have just snatched up Georgie in an instant. But no, he decided to play the gracious host. Now, Billy here is pretty much convinced that his brother is still alive and kicking. But come on, Billy, look at all that blood. If it was a simple kidnapping, there wouldn't have been any blood at all, because the boy was small enough to be abducted without any struggle. Judging by how much blood is at the crime scene, even after the rain washed most of it away, it's a bit hard to bounce back from that, don't you think? And as for the parents and the authorities of Derry, they should be on high alert, right? I mean, 6 kids go missing in a year, and there's not a single investigation? It's like they're all under some kind of spell. Perhaps a little gaslighting by Pennywise himself. Maybe Pennywise's real power is in mind control, making everyone turn a blind eye to the missing children. But if he really wanted to be more efficient with these kids, he could have kidnapped them all at once, had a little circus down there in the sewers, and voila! No more kids left in Derry to investigate. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for a shape-shifting clown. Later, in our charming little town, a kid named Mike, who's delivering fresh meat for his summer job, decides to park in a cozy alley next to the butcher shop. He suddenly hears a weird little sound behind him, so he turns around to see several hands desperately trying to escape. As the screams get bigger and bigger, Mike gets closer and closer. But then, the alley's door swings open, and there hangs a figure waving at him while their eyes light up. Just when things are getting truly entertaining, a car bursts into the scene and Mike ends up dodging it. The guy tells him to stay away from this town, and then they speed away, leaving Mike haunted by everything he had just witnessed. Another kid named Stanley takes a break from his Torah studies for his upcoming bar mitzvah. He returns a book to his dad's office, but Stanley, being the cautious kid he is, does his best to look away from a rather disturbing painting of a woman. He keeps the book in its rightful place, but also hears a disturbance behind him. When he turns around, the spooky painting is lying on the ground. He decides to put it back on the wall, but to his surprise, the lady from the painting has vanished. He sees her in the shadows with an evil grin on her face. Stanley snaps out of it and runs away before things get any weirder. In the library, Ben, the new kid in town, plans to spend his summer reading books. He reads about a colossal explosion on Easter in 1908 that claimed the lives of 88 children. One picture in a book shows a boy's head sitting in a tree. It was so scary that Ben had to slam the book shut. Then, a red balloon floated into the room. Ben was the only one who saw it, so he followed the balloon to the library's archives, but the lights flickered, and a strange noise sounded right behind him. He turned around and saw a headless boy walking down the stairs, just like the one in the book. The headless boy chased him, and Ben ran deeper into the archives. He bumped into the librarian, and they were both shocked to realize that they were both alone. Ben ran out of the library, but his night wasn't over yet. Some bullies were waiting for him outside. They took him to Lover's Bridge, where they planned to make his life miserable. A car approached, and Ben begged for help, but the people in the car didn't care. The car drove away, and a red balloon appeared in the back seat. The leader of the bullies took out a knife and started carving his name into Ben's arm. Ben kicked the bully away and fell over the railing into the river below. The bullies jumped right after him, but he got away. On the other hand, Billy and his friends are searching the sewers for his missing brother. Eddie was too scared of germs to go with them. Richie found a shoe floating in the water, and it belonged to Betty Ribson, one of the girls who went missing. Just then, they heard Ben stumbling into the river behind them. He was injured, and they helped him back to town. The bully who had attacked Ben was still looking for him. He heard a noise coming from a tunnel, so he went inside to investigate. He used an aerosol can as a torch. He heard a voice, and then he turned around to see 4 ghosts. He ran away, but he came to a gate blocking his escape. A red balloon floated towards him, popped, and revealed Pennywise the clown. The bully screamed as Pennywise ate him up. Okay, this is bad. This kid just discovered a goldmine of information that could save a lot of people. This town has a long history of terrible events, and almost all of them have an eyewitness account or photographic evidence of a mysterious and unknown clown named Pennywise. Pennywise made a huge mistake here by revealing himself, because seeing it with your very own eyes helps confirm a series of other logical deductions and rules about his nature. And then there's his little trick of luring kids away from the public eye. A clever strategy, but as soon as an adult shows up, poof, he's gone. It's like he's allergic to grown-ups. That means he's never safe in the presence of an adult, which makes parents and adults a potential weakness. But here's where he really missed the mark. Ben, the new kid, picked up an egg at the bottom of the stairs. It means that despite his supernatural nature, people can physically touch him, so he might not be as invincible as he'd like us to believe. Lastly, he seems confined to Derry, so leaving the town might free everyone from his influence. That's an escape route he's overlooked. Now, as for this bully over here, there were 2 obvious mistakes he made that got him killed. First, he used his lighter and aerosol can to light up the tunnels, but didn't bother using it as a weapon when he was faced with a threat. Instead, this kid drops it into the water and runs in the wrong direction, trapping himself inside. The next mistake he made was not even trying to squeeze through these metal bars. He's a pretty skinny kid, and instead of letting these bars become a trap, he should try to turn them into a barrier for the fence. But he didn't even consider it as an option. And if you're wondering about all the advantages Pennywise has, he thrives on fear, and he's using Derry's dark history to his advantage. With all the secrets, mysteries, and unsolved crime, he's got the perfect backdrop for his circus of terror. He can influence others' behaviors and perceptions. So, if anyone witnessed a kid in distress, they wouldn't lift a finger. It's like having an army of unwitting minions. But he's not all bad by any means. By tormenting a bully like that, he's not just taking a snack, he's doing the town a big favor. One less bully to worry about, and the streets of Derry become a little safer for a kid like Ben. But Billy and his friends are now injured, and they need to buy medicine at the drugstore. They are short on money, but a girl named Beverly helps them. She distracts the pharmacist by knocking over a display of cigarettes, and the boys take the medicine they need. Later, in an alleyway, Beverly sees them helping their wounded friend. One of the boys invited her to join them at the quarry the next day. When Beverly gets home, her creepy little dad asks her what she bought. He smells her hair and says she is still his little girl. Beverly feels disgusted, so she goes to the bathroom and cuts her hair short. The next day at the quarry, the kids have fun swimming and jumping off the cliffs. Ben shows them a folder of articles about all the people who had gone missing in Derry. He said that more people went missing in Derry than anywhere else in the country, and that the kids are especially at risk. Ben offered to do more research, and the others agreed. Ben took them to his room, and they looked at all the information he had gathered. They discovered that the town's founders had disappeared without a trace, and that an old drawing showed Pennywise the clown with them. That night, Eddie was walking home when he saw a spooky old house. The door creaks open, and a voice calls out to him. Eddie drops his pillbox, and as he scrambles to pick up the last pill, he sees a disgusting leper standing right in front of him. Eddie runs away, but when he looks back, the leper has turned into Pennywise the clown. Later, Beverly looks through her backpack when she finds a postcard. She goes to the bathroom to read it, and it's a love letter from one of the boys. She was touched by the letter, but then she heard whispering coming from the sink. She looks down the drain, and the missing children of Derry talk to her. They tell her that her severed hair is wrapped around the measuring tape, and then the hair comes to life and pulls her towards the drain. Beverly screams, and her dad comes running, but he doesn't see anything wrong. Alright, these kids are stubborn. They all have the same information, but it's like pulling teeth to get them to recognize it. The clown is haunting them in different forms, and they can't even connect the dots. But Ben here, he's got the key. He's seen the clown up close and personal. So here's an idea. He could tell his friends that he saw the clown with his own eyes. That would be the trigger for everyone to open up. Ben would say, I saw a decapitated head. Stanley would chime in about the evil woman he saw. They could piece it all together. But no, it's taking them forever. Here's where the kids should have used their heads. If subjective fear is what drives the clown, imagine how it'll appear to each of them. Richie is scared of clowns, Eddie's a germaphobe, and Billy's terrified of losing his brother. If they think it through, they'd know that the clown is going to target them with their deepest fears. And now it's entering their homes. Beverly gets a geyser of blood because she's afraid of becoming a woman. Really, Beverly? Hiding tampons and cutting your hair to look like a boy? And Eddie's a germaphobe, so of course he gets a leper. But here's the thing, fear can be conquered. All they need is some exposure therapy, and they'll realize there's nothing to be afraid of but fear itself. Face your fears, kiddos, and you'll understand the lesson the clown's trying to teach you. As for Pennywise, well, he's got quite the strategy here. Brainwashing the adults through children's programs and using the TV. It's like a clown-themed invasion of the body snatchers. It is brilliant. But the kids should have been quicker to catch on. He's got the whole town under his spell. But if he wanted to up his game, he could use other ways to do it too, like radio, newspapers, or even billboards. Get creative, Pennywise! If I was one of the kids, I'd take it one step further and kidnap my own parents, throw them in a car, and drive them out of Derry. Once they snap out of it, they'll thank us for it. That night, Billy hears a strange noise downstairs. He goes over to investigate, and he finds his little brother Georgie in the basement. Georgie wanted Billy to go into the sewers with him, but Billy saw Georgie's face start to look like a monster's face. Then, Pennywise the clown jumped out of the water and chased Billy. Billy barely escapes back upstairs before Pennywise catches him. The next day, Billy and his friends get together. The girl shows them the blood in her bathroom. The kids were all shocked. Billy tells them that he had seen something strange the night before. The other boys told Billy that they had seen strange things too. It was clear that something was going on. As they were riding their bikes, they saw the bully's car parked next to the road. The bullies were torturing a boy. They were pushing his face into a piece of raw meat. Suddenly, the boy across the river saw Pennywise. Pennywise had a bloody face and a severed arm. He was waving at the boy. The boy gets scared and tries to run away, but the bully holds him down. The bully was about to hit the boy with a rock, but then a rock hit him in the head. Billy and his friends came out of nowhere, and they started throwing rocks at the bullies. The bullies were outnumbered, and they ran away, and Billy and his friends saved the boy. Okay, rock wars can be a lot of fun, but there's gotta be a better way to take these guys out. Right now, they're facing both a supernatural clown and an evil gang of bullies, and that's just way too much for any group of kids to handle. But instead of having to fight them both, I would try to make them fight each other. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's a lot better than just having two enemies. So, I would try to find as many ways as possible to gaslight these bullies to make them afraid. Because the more fear I create in them, the more of a target they all become to the clown, and the less he will be focused on killing me and my group of friends. And how do you do that? Well, I would start by printing hundreds of missing posters with the boys' faces on them and post them on all the shops and buildings in town. Then I'd take an anonymous ad out in the newspaper that reads, "Bauer's gang next to go missing." If we find enough ways to gaslight him like this, it might be enough to make him and his gang fearful that they'll be going missing next. And if that's what he fears, then the killer clown will make his fear come true. But on their way back to town, the kids saw a poster for Betty Ribson, another missing kid. Ben told them that disappearances like this only happen once every 27 years. This meant that the clown might be going to sleep soon. The kids meet at the park, and Mike tells them a scary story about his parents. He said that a clown turned them into marshmallows, and then they burned up. He then says that the clown could turn into your worst nightmare. The kids realized that they had to find the clown's lair to stop him. Billy, the smartest kid, took them to his garage. He used a projector to show them a map of the town's sewer system. All of the places where people had disappeared were on the same sewer lines. They traced the lines back to the house where Eddie saw the leper. It seemed like the clown was using the sewers to move around town. One of the kids had a panic attack and ripped the map off the wall. But then, the projector started going crazy, and the woman in the picture turned into Pennywise. The kids were scared, but Mike kicked over the projector. The clown jumped out of the screen and chased the kids around the garage. The kids opened the garage door, and the clown disappeared. Billy wanted to go to the house and save his brother, but the other kids were scared. They didn't want to risk their lives, so Billy had to go alone. Billy went to his house and psyched himself up for a fight with the clown. His friends eventually backed up to the house and told him not to be a hero. They drew straws, and the unlucky ones had to go with Billy. The kids go inside the house, and they hear someone crying for help. Eddie gets distracted by a whisper, and he wanders off on his own. The other two kids walk right into a room, and the door slams shut behind them. Eddie falls through a hole in the floor and breaks his arm. The refrigerator door opens, and Pennywise comes out. He wanted to eat Eddie's fear. Billy and his friends showed up just in time, and one of them stabbed the clown in the head with a metal post. The clown fell to the ground, but then he got back up and attacked the kids again. Billy chased the clown down a well into the sewer system. The kids regrouped outside, and Richie and Billy argued. The girl told them that they could only beat the clown if they worked together, but the kids are too scared, and they all split up. Only Billy and the girl stayed together to fight the clown. Oh, the mistakes these kids are making are just golden. They finally confirmed that they can hurt this supernatural clown, but now they're cowering in fear, playing right into Pennywise's hands. I mean, Beverly stabbed this thing through the face. That's a major breakthrough, right? But instead of using that newfound knowledge, they're too terrified to fight it. It's like giving candy to a child, and that's exactly what Pennywise wants. Fear is driving their actions, and that makes them easy pickings. They're splitting up and playing right into the clown's game. But here's what they should have done. If they know the clown lives in the sewers which connect back to this creepy house, then it's a point of weakness that they can exploit. Burn the house down and trap the creature. Simple, right? And when the clown retreats into the sewers, they should find a way to flood it. Sure, it's a long shot, but with Billy's dad working at the hydroelectric plant, he has the keys to the kingdom. But no, they're too concerned about the adults and the town. What's the point of protecting a town that won't protect you? Just flood the town and drive the clown out. It's not rocket science, kids. Pennywise must be rolling in the sewers, watching these kids fumble. If he wants to take full advantage of their errors, he needs to exploit their fears and desperation, drive them to the brink of madness, and then, well, you can imagine what comes next. Months go by and Beverly's going to meet Bill. She opens the front door to leave, but it's locked. Her dad comes out of the shadows and accuses her of having naughty adventures with boys all summer. Beverly says it's not true, but her dad doesn't believe her. He tries to break into the bathroom, but Beverly knocks him out with a toilet tank cover. Just as she's about to leave, Pennywise the clown comes out of the shower curtain and grabs her. He takes her into the sewers. Billy goes to Beverly's house, but the door is open. He goes inside and finds a message written in blood on the ceiling. Pennywise is warning Billy that he will die if he tries to save Beverly. Billy doesn't care, so he goes to find his friends. He finds Richie at the arcade and tells him that Beverly is missing. They hurry to find the other kids and go to the abandoned clown house. Mike brings his cattle gun so he can shoot Pennywise. The kids leave their bikes outside and arm themselves with whatever they can find. In the sewers, Beverly wakes up and sees a pile of junk. She also sees the dead bodies of all the missing kids floating in the air. She runs away, but Pennywise grabs her. Beverly tells Pennywise that she's not afraid of him anymore. Pennywise's face opens up and she sees 3 glowing orbs in his throat. Beverly starts to float in the air with the other kids. Billy and the other kids find the well that leads to the sewers and climbs down a rope. Stanley hears a noise behind him and turns around. He's suddenly transported to a different part of the sewer system. He can't see his friends and he hears footsteps getting closer. A woman from a painting jumps out at him and his friends hear him scream. They run out to find him, but when they get there, Pennywise is eating Stanley's face. The boys are too scared to do anything, and they watch as Pennywise turns back into his clown form and leaves. Okay, now let's see what disadvantages these kids have that he can exploit. Bill, with his sharp metal fence posts, is certainly greedy. He should have handed out weapons to everyone, but no, he's holding on to them like a collector. And this is the kind of greed that Pennywise can capitalize on. But who should Pennywise target first? Well, it's gotta be Stanley, still afraid of that woman from the painting. His fear makes him an easy mark. Pennywise can use Stanley's weakness to divide and conquer. However, there is a strategy the kids can use in situations like this. You see, humans are excellent at converting emotions. Fear can quickly turn into anger, a tool for confronting danger. These kids need to learn how to shift their fear into anger to confront the threat head on. Maybe, just maybe, Pennywise wanted this all along. By forcing these kids to face their deepest fears, he's making them stronger and better. He's their twisted mentor, molding them into fearless warriors. The kids rush towards their injured friend, who's in the middle of a panic attack. However, Billy's attention is drawn elsewhere when he sees someone in the distance, running down a tunnel with a bolt gun in hand. He chases through the winding sewers until he arrives at a cistern, where he looks upward and sees his friend Beverly mysteriously suspended in the air. He scours the scrap pile for anything that might help, but then something catches his eye. A little boy in a yellow raincoat resembling Georgie, who leads him on a peculiar journey. The rest of the gang finally reaches the cistern and discovers Beverly floating high above. Working together, they manage to bring her back down and attempt to save her from her trance, but nothing seems to work. In a last-ditch effort, Ben takes matters into his own hands, planting a kiss on her lips, and miraculously, she snaps out of it, and they all embrace in relief. But they realize that one of their own is missing. Billy, after a year of relentless searching, has finally reunited with his brother. The emotions are overwhelming, but he understands that this heartwarming reunion is nothing but an illusion. He tells Georgie that he loves him before placing the bolt gun against the child's temple and pulling the trigger. Just when they think it's over, the body begins to convulse, transforming back into Pennywise the clown. Fueled by rage, the clown attacks the kid, but the others rush to defend their friend, attacking Pennywise together. They tried to restrain it, but the clown proves too powerful, flinging the kids aside and taking Billy hostage. The gang stands their ground, and Pennywise, the dancing clown, offers them a deal. They can leave the sewers unscathed if they surrender the boy. Richie, however, refuses, saying that they've come too far to back down, and he takes a hefty swing at the clown's face with a baseball bat. The gang joins forces to confront the creature as it tries to frighten them by shapeshifting into each child's deepest fear. But their bravery works against him. Unfazed and no longer afraid, they realize they've won, and the clown retreats into the sewers, vanishing without a trace. As they catch their breath, Billy peers down and finds his brother's raincoat, the same one Georgie wore on the day he vanished, and he breaks into tears. He finally accepts the death of his brother, and his friends gather around to offer their comforting hugs. Fast forward 1 month, and the girl shares a chilling vision of their future. In the very same cistern, they'll find themselves once more confronting Pennywise the clown as adults 27 years down the line. But who do you think is the real villain of this film? Like and subscribe, or I'll be in your dreams tonight. Have a good night, my friends.